All right, my friends, welcome back to another episode of the Build Show podcast. That's right, my weekly time to get together with you guys and go deep. I got a really fun episode, y'all. You know, LeBron James and the Cleveland Cavaliers, Cristiano Ronaldo and Manchester United, Michael Jordan and the Chicago Bulls. That's what we got going on here today. I actually don't know which one you are in those.
I appreciate all of the comparisons.
I think you're the Chicago Bulls and I'm Michael Jordan.
Okay,
or maybe I'm Michael Jordan and you're the Bulls. But either way, guys, you're about to meet, maybe for the first time, maybe you remember from old days. Jordan and I go way back. Jordan is brand new to Build Show Network. We're actually, depending on when this podcast launches, you may see him on the site already. May not be launched till next week, but the point is we've got a brand new contributor for Build Show Network in Jordan Smith. And I think of Jordan as my old school partner in crime because for years we kind of co-hosted the Build Show, or at least on a regular basis, Jordan co-hosted with me. And so I'm super pumped to have Jordan back. He's a builder who has some great chops, works all over Austin, Texas. And on the Build Show today, we're going to jump into Jordan's background. I think he's got a really interesting background. We're going to talk about how he moved into design build. That's really what he's known for today. And we're going to talk about high performance in the budget, which I think Jordan, separately from the Build Show, has been talking a lot about in his appearances through all kinds of different events. That being said, from the Reisinger Build Studios in Austin, Texas, let's get going. Hey guys, before we jump in with Jordan today, I want to say big thanks to our two podcast sponsors. First off, Pella Windows. This is a very old company that's building windows right in the heart of America. And I got to tell you, I didn't know a ton about them until recently. And I just completed my first house with them, the Reisinger Build Project in partnership with Builders First Source. That was really my first real big experience with Pella. And I got to tell you, I was super impressed. I used the Lifestyle series. Jordan, I don't know if you know much about Pella.
I've got them in my house. I've got them in my house. It was
there's your.
We were looking at several different options.
There's your unsolicited plug. I didn't even know.
Yeah. We were looking at several different options. We went with Pella. Hadn't used them before. And I mean, it's been 5 years now, and they're a nice window. They
here's
really
the thing
are.
that impressed me, Jordan. We did a pre-trades blower door test. So I had my full Monopoly frame envelope in, which you're going to find out in a minute. Jordan's very, very familiar. He's made a ton of videos about Monopoly framing. Full Monopoly frame, full zip system on the outside, fully taped. We installed all our Pella windows indoors. I had a front door from Pella. I had a man door out of the back. I had a slider from them. Everything's in. And I didn't have the door between the house and the garage, so that was my blower door spot. And Jordan, I blew like a 0.4 something, 0.42, 0.45.
Wow.
Didn't tape a single window and door. I have a slider in there. I've got 2 swing doors. And that's a really tight number. And these weren't like passive house rated. I had a couple triple glaze. Most of them were just regular double glaze. So to get that kind of number, I was super impressed, y'all. Yeah. That's good stuff.
No, they lock. We have all the casements, fixer casements, and it just makes that really satisfying click when everything sucks together.
To get that low of a number is a big deal. And I can tell you from years past with some other manufacturers, we won't name any names to disparage anybody. I'd regularly gotten numbers well above 1, maybe even closer to 2, where you're like, oh my gosh, this freaking slider is so leaky that I can't even get a 2AC.
Well, you put your blower door test on the slider. That's the trick.
That's how
you use that garage. You install the garage door because that seals up right nice and tight, and then you put the blower door on that slider. It counts, right?
I like it.
I think so.
I needed you, Jordan. I've been missing you, dude. So long story short, big thanks to Pella. They make some great products, and like Jordan and I are saying, not even passive house certified products seem to be very, very tight, very well built compared to a lot of builders out there, or a lot of competitors out there in the window world. And lastly, Huber Engineered Woods. What can I say about these guys? They've been an OG Build Show sponsor. Back when Jordan was around was when they first started sponsoring us. I built my personal house with all Huber Engineered Wood products. The Reisinger build we just completed, all Huber products. And I got to tell you, if you're going to Monopoly frame, it's like peanut butter and chocolate. Like Huber products and Monopoly framing go hand in glove, right? Super good air tightness levels, really easy to see that you got the details correctly in the outside. To be honest, sometimes with house wraps, you can still get some air tightness, but it's not always easy to tell the details are done correctly.
Oh man, we
Huber's,
just
do you have a story on that?
No, I love it. So I haven't built with a more commercially available, the cheaper house wraps in a while, right? But I'm affordable, high performance. I'm thinking, what can we do? Like, are there ways to use cheaper products better? And we did, and we were successful with the house wrap. It's hard. It's so hard
with
man.
The standard house wraps.
It's not worth it.
No.
Like it made me realize, because it's been a while since I transferred over to the Huber products.
Yeah.
Going back and trying it again a different way.
It's 3 steps backwards.
It really
4
is.
steps backwards.
It really is.
I mean, Huber makes it easy. And I was going to say, too, Jordan, one of the things that I like about it is if I tell somebody who's maybe not used it before, one of the very first things I say is I really like how when the trades are done, when, let's say, the framer or cornice crew's done, you can tell they did it right. For instance, as a side note, like their roller they have has a little typewriter Z in it. So all you got to do to see if they rolled the tape was to get up a little closer and see the shadow line Z in the tape roller. And if it's not there, maybe they didn't use that roller. They used an off-brand roller. But if you gave them that roller and said, hey, roll the whole house with these 2 rollers, and you don't see it, hey, they didn't roll the tape. And the other thing I like about it is it's like milk and why am I doing so many analogies? It's like milk and Oreos.
I like the food allergy.
For fluid applied. I love a good food analogy. I mean, the fluid applied products just stick perfectly to the green facer.
Yeah.
And when we use, let's say, liquid flash, which is made by Huber, it's perfectly stuck to that green face. And oh, by the way, that also sticks to concrete. It also sticks to, I'm trying to think of some other building materials you might have on the job site besides wood. Well, it sticks to your wood, right? If you've got a rough opening that's just raw wood, it sticks there. It's just such good products, so well engineered and so well thought out. Anyways, that being said, Pella and Huber, 2 great companies, different categories, but both really world-class leaders. Jordan Smith, I can't thank you enough for coming into the podcast
I'm going to stop
studio
you there
today.
so you got a little something.
I got a little salad in my teeth.
Yeah.
Don't stop. Keep that going.
Yeah,
That's important for us to know.
All right. Well, I didn't want us to get all the way through and then you're like, oh man, I don't want to come back.
There's no tight shot of me, and most people are listening. So I'm going to leave the green in.
All right. Good.
Let's keep going.
Look great. You look great.
Thank you, except for the green in my teeth. My wife's always telling me I got stuff in my teeth. I've been eating a lot of salads at least.
Good. You look great. You look great. I got your build show medium today, and I got to get back to the CrossFit gym, man. It's a little tight.
All right. So those who don't know, Jordan and I go way back. Not quite to childhood, but certainly not pretty deep in adulthood, anyways.
Yeah.
Jordan, what year did I meet you on the Homes Tour? Was that 2015? Was that 10 years ago?
Yeah, it was 10 years ago.
Let me tell the story because I want to set you up and then I'm going to let you take it over.
Tell the story.
I had the Perfect Wall house on the Homes Tour. This is a house I built years ago with Joe Stieber's Perfect Wall. I've kind of coined Monopoly framing. It's real. I've stole that 100% from Joe Stieber. He's the mastermind behind it. I'm just good at coining phrases. We're at that house. You and your wife, maybe even a couple of your kids, drove up from Houston. And I think you'd even seen a video or 2 on it, right?
Yeah. No, we were building our first house. So we had done several remodels, and this was our first build to do from the ground up. And I didn't know what I was doing. So as you do, you're on YouTube. And back then, there was nobody. I mean, there was the guys at This Old House and their clips, but that's a completely different. That's not like, how do you flash a window? And so I'm just like watching all of your stuff back to back to back. And then we found out that your Perfect Wall house was going to be on the AIA tour. And so we drove out to Austin and met you, and the rest is history.
The rest is history. So Jordan meets me. He tells me that he's been watching the build show. I find out his background. He's an engineer. He's watched a bunch of videos. I'm immediately like, dude, this guy's super smart. He's a little taller than me, which I don't like. He's probably more handsome, which I don't like. But I got over those.
Yeah.
And at some point I said, hey, would you ever consider, or maybe you said it to me, would you ever consider building houses or jumping in with me on my home building company? And at that time, we also had a pretty big steel crew. We had probably, 12, 14 guys doing steel fab. We did all kinds of steel fab. So I said to Jordan, hey, and I've said this actually to a lot of people, hey, if you'll jump in with me, I realize you want to start your own company. That's great. Do that. But why don't I teach you everything I know? You come work for me for a couple years. And then if you want to leave in year 2, 3, 5, you can leave 100% with my blessing, knowing that I got a couple awesome years out of working with you. And I knew way ahead of time that you were going to go on your own and do your own thing. This was not a surprise to me. So I think you jumped in with me in 2016 or 17, something like that.
16 maybe.
Right in there. And immediately I was like, dude, this guy is unbelievable. You are super knowledgeable. You're a natural teacher. You're naturally curious like me. And I think another thing that's really similar to us is, number one, you want to learn something new every day, but you also are like really all of our contributors who never feel like, oh, I've made it to the pinnacle. There's nothing better I could do. There's nothing smarter I could do in the next build. I think you've always felt like, oh, there's more to learn. There's something I could do a little better. And so we worked together for several years. You and I both started YouTube. I guess I started a few years before you. We had this amazing guy working for us at the time that we'd hired in-house called Joey Pewterbach, which is an amazing dude. Joey pushed us to start. Hopefully Joey will watch this. Joey pushed us to start doing CrossFit. Joey was like, Jordan, you should start your own YouTube channel. And then you also co-hosted with me a bunch. And I got to tell you, some of those videos still to this day are crazy popular, have tons of watch time. And of course, Jordan, after a couple years, was like, I think it's time out. I'm ready to start my own company. So maybe you left in 2019, 2020. I think we worked together 4 years. So Jordan always knew that he wanted to. I'm talking to you like you're not here. You always wanted to.
My eulogy here.
You wanted to start a design build company because you're an interesting mix of both builder and designer, and I don't have any of that design side. I'm not good at that at all. Yeah. But you've always been good at sketching stuff. We could probably make this detail a little different or better. And I'm really more like, hey, give me the exact plan, and if I have a detail on the plan, I could probably make it better. But I can't sketch my way out of a box. And I certainly have no business doing any design.
Well, neither do I. I'm a hack. That's the greatest thing. You talk about not acting like I know what I'm doing. It's because I don't know what I'm doing. It's great.
Fake it till you make it.
Yeah, but it's not even faking it. I mean, at this point in my career, like my clients are finding me based off past work that they've seen, and I'm very upfront about like, hey, we hire architects and we work with our architects. But a lot of the initial schematic design and conceptual design is handled in-house and a lot by me. Because, I mean, we're, as humans, like, these are houses, right? We're not putting people on Mars here, right?
This isn't SpaceX.
And there's centuries of good design to learn from. And I think that design is such an important part for a homeowner, obviously the architect and design team, but also the builder to really understand, like, what are we trying to accomplish here other than just one of my pet peeves in the high performance world is, everything comes from an engineering vantage point. So everything gets designed based off of what will perform best with math.
Yep.
And that's not how humans live, right? I mean, we don't want to live in igloo coolers.
Yep.
It would be great thermodynamically, it's going to last forever, but we don't want to live in there, right? We also don't want to live in beautiful houses that are just super uncomfortable to live in. And so finding that balance is all design.
Totally. So, Jordan, your company's Smith House. And by the way, Jordan, you should be forget the ending. Grab your phone right now. If you're on Instagram, you should be following Jordan. Jordan Smith Builds with an S on Instagram, and from there you'll see his his company page. But it's really your personal, so to speak, main page that I see you posting to most. So go follow jordansmithbuilds.com or builds at Jordan Smith Builds rather on Instagram is what I mean to say. You can also follow him on the YouTubes, and if you just type in Jordan Smith, you'll probably find him. But,
you'll find the singer from American. Everybody's forgot about him. I'm still here. We're seeing nobody knows. But if you Google Jordan Smith, you get this.
Still come up.
Yes, he still pops up. But if you put in Jordan Smith Builds, Jordan Smith Construction, Jordan Smith not the singer, the good-looking Jordan Smith. There's a lot of things that you can put in that will bring me up. But if you just put in Jordan Smith, it's not me, unfortunately. I'm not as cool as Matt Reisinger. And I've also got Smith as a last name. Like I'm starting from behind.
Reisinger's a really good last name.
It's a good last name. Good last name.
Thankful for my great-great-grandfather for doing that one. But you're going to see more of Jordan on the Build Show too, because he's got a fabulous series of videos all about high-performance construction. I'm going to put a pin on that, though. I want to go back to one thing I want to do in this podcast, or I think is really interesting about you, Jordan, is you've been able to build a really interesting business with your wife as your partner, where you've seemingly, from an outsider's perspective, I talk to you occasionally, but I wouldn't say I text you on a daily basis.
I text Matt every day. He does, but he does not text back on a daily basis.
No, I don't. But like, if you left 5-6 years ago, you've built a really good business, a really good income in the 5-6 years since you left me that I think is really valuable for our listeners. I mean, I think we've got a lot of listeners that are Matt Reisingers and Jordan Smiths from 10 or 15 years ago that are either working for another builder or maybe have recently started their company and could really benefit from some lessons learned. So walk us through. Okay, you left Reisinger. I think we were Reisinger Homes at the time. We rebranded Reisinger Build at some point around there, and you started Smith House.
Yep.
Do you call yourself Design Build?
Yeah.
Smith House Design Build.
Yeah. Smith House Company, because we didn't know what we were going to be doing.
Smith House Company.
It's a company.
It's a company.
We're Smith and there's houses.
We do things.
Smith House Company. We'll figure it out.
Eventually.
Put it on the website.
So then how did you get those first couple jobs? Did you do specs like I did? Like, talk me through your first couple years of figuring out how to make money and make this an entity that could pay the bills.
Yeah. So the first build that I did after I left was a spec build. It was in conjunction with a material manufacturer, and they said, hey, we're going to give you $100,000 worth of material.
Wow.
To build this house, and we're going to film every part of it. And I was like, how can we not lose? And Veronica
seems like a no-brainer.
Like, we don't do spec builds. No, we're not. And I'm like, $100,000. You can't lose $100,000. Veronica finished the taxes a year later and came in with a smug smile on her face, and she's like, $8,000. It's like, what do you mean $8,000? She's like, we made $8,000.
I could totally relate.
After somebody gave us $100,000, not $108,000.
Oh, I could totally
It was $100,000 that we burned through because I had worked with you for so long. It's like, if there's good, better, best, it's like, well, what else is there? What's
excellent?
What's one better than best, right? So we just there was a lot of things. One, spec building is a game best played with house money, right? Like if you've got enough money to build the house, and then you can analyze the market and do all of that stuff, and you're not having a bank or hard money lending, which we did. If y'all don't know what hard money lending is, it's when a bank tells you no, there's a mob out there that go by the name of hard money lending, and they'll give you money.
Oh yeah,
but their terms are terrible.
It's just shy credit card fees,
and they will foreclose in a heart. Like they're praying you miss a payment. Where a bank doesn't want to foreclose.
Right, these guys do.
These guys do, because they also have other builders in their network who will jump in on the projects, and then everybody, they'll split the profits on the backside. So I wouldn't recommend it. We did it and we survived, but it's not fun. It's not smart. Like you can't build, or we weren't able to build. I won't say nobody can, but we weren't able to build at the level that I wanted to build at with a spec home. Because when we're trying to sell this on the open market, and we're trying to sell at $750,000, and the homeowners come and tour it, and they're like, yeah, but that house down the street is $600,000. Same size, maybe bigger.
Yeah.
Why are you $150,000 more? It's like, well, this thing in the wall that you can't see.
The CRV is totally worth it.
And you won't even care, because by the time this thing starts kicking in and mattering, like, so let's say it's a wall assembly that will last 50, 100 years. No problem, 100 years. The house down the street's built out of cardboard. It's like the homeowner's like, we're planning on selling in 7 years.
Right.
Like, will it affect? It's like, well, probably not.
Probably not, actually.
Probably not. That's
probably the mold won't so grow until year 9 or 10.
Exactly. So it's just, we weren't able to do that, but it was a fun project. We kept afloat. I was also working with a company called MT Copeland at the time through video education, so that helped pay the bills through then.
And you made a ton of videos geared towards young tradesmen and women, or maybe even high school age kids that were interested in those jobs. And to be honest, I think I've only seen one or two of them, but I realize your catalog is huge with those guys, which I don't think you have the rights to, unfortunately.
I don't.
But I'm really proud of you for making those videos, and who knows, maybe that'll come back around. I don't want to say too much on camera, but
well, we'll see.
I would love to get a hold of those videos for the build show.
I
think that the work you did there was really cool stuff.
Yeah, it was a fun.
They were also very well funded.
They were very well funded. They basically gave us a lot of money, a big pile of money, and they said, go out and make great content to educate trades. And we did that. And then the market shifted about 2 years into the project. We were out of money, and we went back to the financiers, and we said, hey, we need another pile of money. We burned through that first one. They're like, well, what's your path to profitability? He's like, I don't know. You tell it. I don't know. It's your money. Like, y'all have thought of that. So it was great because we got to make great content. I do feel like the Build Show Network has a better, and I want to talk to you a little bit about this too. On it's tough, right? Because like creating quality educational content isn't cheap.
No, it's not.
Somebody has to pay for that, right? I mean, we can all do it as much as we can out of the goodness of our hearts, but at some point, somebody's got to be paying for it. The Copeland strategy was like, oh, the students are going to pay. The students are going to pay. It didn't work. I'm not saying it couldn't work, but it didn't.
It's kind of a masterclass kind of a situation.
Except I'm no, Steve Martin, right? Like, I'll go pay for masterclass for a year to see Steve and some other people that I think are funny or cool or smart, and I have nothing to do with their industry. I'm not learning how to be an actor, even though he might be given a comedian act.
But they're not
doing
doing super well financially. Was my point.
They're not, and that's with Steve Martin, right? So when you're talking about like, well, here's how you mask a paint line. It's like your audience gets super small, super niche. So then you do what I think is a more sustainable, with some potential pitfalls, but the Build Show Network being able to be sponsored by our good friends at Pella and Huber.
That's right.
Right? So they're able to sponsor the content.
That's right.
And I think it's much more sustainable, and I think it's a great thing for the industry. But my question is, now I know you personally, and I know that personally all the way back from the early YouTube days, like you wouldn't talk about a product that you didn't personally believe in.
Yeah,
right?
Totally. Yeah.
And I saw people throw, big money your way, and you're just like, no, I'm not doing that.
We got to maintain that personal credibility.
So
integrity.
How do you walk that line with products that are like everybody makes everything now, right? I mean, Huber and Pella are different examples because they're pretty specialized and niche. But there's these companies out there who have a broad product offering. And I really, really like this product.
But I really don't like that.
I really don't like that.
I can think of one right now.
That other product.
Yeah.
So how do you, and then how do your contributors, now that I'm coming on board, like how do y'all walk that line of holding the credibility of like what we talk about we really believe in, and at the same time you have a really good client with really good product, and trying to explain back to them, we don't like that. We don't like that product.
It's a hard line, but I think what we've done successfully, Jordan, is we've been good at maintaining our integrity level. And we also, when we sign contracts with them, we tell these manufacturers very specifically that you don't have editorial rights over our content. Like the Build Show is the Build Show. Now, if you pay me, I'm not going to say this product sucks, right? But I have we have 5 salespeople now. They call me on a regular basis and say, hey, what do you think about this company or this product? And I'm like, no, we're not talking to them. I mean, if you look at our lineup of products, there's nothing that we make a video on that I wouldn't put in my own home. And that's kind of my general, now, certainly there's good, better, best, right?
Yeah.
But for the most part, if it's not something you and I would use to build a house for a client or to build a house for our parents or to build a house for our families, we're probably not going to make a video on it.
Yep.
And we're pretty specific in those contracts. And we've gotten a lot of times they'd be like, well, I really don't like this because this, you told them the downside of this product.
Yeah.
And we're like, well, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah.
And our contract says, like, we have editorial rights. So I don't know what to tell you, but that's, people need to know about that.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, and I think that's what separates the build show from influencer marketing, right? Is because it's not just chasing the check. There's that integrity behind it. But anyway, that was the MT Copeland thing, right? Good job, Build Show Network, and you for picking the right horse, because
it was close. It was touch and go for a while there.
The funding for having people pay for it just wasn't. Just we weren't able to make that.
We've not had a pile of money.
Yeah.
I've got pretty much my home building profits in building this deal, and it's well over a 7-figure number that I put into this thing. Yeah. That my video company owes my home building company, which is me, right? So it's not like I owe anybody. Yeah. But it's been a tough slog, but we're finally getting momentum, and we're seeing 30-40%
well,
growth.
now that you've got me on board, it's all going to.
We might have 200% growth on board now. Oh, the opposite. Yeah, that could happen too. Yeah, this is going to be a great last year for the Build Show Network, guys. Our final video get published. We'll publish one of those ones that the YouTubers always do. They're like, "That's it, I'm done." Final video. We'll just start publishing those.
This
December
is the beginning
30th.
of the end right now. Mark it down.
That's right. We'll pull a Matt Carricker move and just get off on one final video.
That was the Copeland thing, and then because of that, now that I had an income, I had a little bit of runway while we were doing that. That was a part-time gig, so I was working on the home building on the other side. We landed a client that just, knew me through the build show.
Oh,
right?
that's awesome.
Yeah,
Very cool.
I call them not them, but in general, my clients tend to be Risinger rejects, right? They're people that call you and say, hey, this is what we're wanting to do, and they're either outside of your build radius or the build budget's too low or whatever.
And you're like, and then,
I'll take it. They call me and like, yes, definitely, I'll take it. Where you at? I'll drive. And this was
your budget's $50 a square foot, no problem.
We'll do it. So this was 2 hours out of town. But it was a really cool project. They wanted to do really cool things. And one of the failures of that experience was we were so focused on that build because between Copeland and that build, we were booked. Like we were busy, right? Yeah. We got to the end of that job around end of 2023, and we looked up, and Copeland had ended, which we knew. We saw the writing on the wall.
Yeah.
But like.
You're like, where's my next paycheck come from?
Yeah, this one big multi-million-dollar project's coming to an end. The mailbox money's coming to an end. It's like, oh, we've got to figure something. Yeah, we've got to figure something out. So 2024, it was honestly we had projects, remodel projects here and there, doing some educational work for different companies. So we made it all together. And then, man, at the end of 2024, the fall of 2024, the phone just started ringing, and then now
awesome.
At the beginning of 2025, we're turning people away. I'm like, where were y'all? Where were y'all? Y'all need to get together and spread it out. Spread it out a little bit.
But you should have been, according to the market, packed during 2022 because COVID was so busy.
I know.
And according to the market now, we should be slow, but our phones are still ringing.
I know.
Which, as a side note, I would tell you, when you build a really good house, you have a couple years of reputation. This is for my young builders and my old builders out there. That phone will ring regardless of the economic news. Yep. The actual news today is riots in LA, which is far away, right? But at the same time, people's housing needs don't change. And even though there's some political turmoil or financial turmoil or the stock market does a pooping dive, people still need what they need. They need remodels and they need new builds, and we're millions of houses behind.
Yeah, and they want what they want too. This current project we're doing out in Hudson Bend, they're in their 50s. They're not old by any stretch.
Thank you for saying that. I appreciate that.
Yeah, I mean,
As I'm turning 53 in a couple of weeks.
50's pretty old, but I didn't want to say it out loud. So they're not that old. But they were talking about
It would have been nice to have Jordan on Build Show Network, but unfortunately his videos got pulled at the last minute.
He's been canceled. But they built a calendar because I'm telling them, all right, we're going to be in design for it's about 8-9 months worth of design work, and then we're going to be building. We're going to try to do it fast. We always try to design really well so we can build really fast. But we're going to be 12 to 18 months building this $1.3 million
Sounds about right.
house. And they took out a calendar like, well, based on the amount of months we have left to live, that's this,
Are you serious? Yeah. They did the math? Are they actuaries for a living?
I don't know what they do for a living. But my point is, like, to them, the economics of it, they're doing this cash. Like they're not looking at rates. They're not looking at. They're expecting to pull this out of their retirement funds, pay for it cash, and so for them, it's all about like how fast can we get it done. So there's always a market out there of people who don't have forever to live and therefore can't put off.
Makes sense.
The build forever.
Yeah. I mean, money is time. Time is money. And I think that there, as a side note to this, maybe a whole nother podcast, but I think there's probably a subset of really rich Americans that would pay 50% more for a house that was built in half the time.
Yeah.
It's probably the premise of a lot of the companies that do prefab. Like I just found out about a Houston prefab I didn't even know about today that is doing all their work in a factory. And literally, they show up on site with their prefab building, and they spend a month getting a foundation and utilities in. And they said by the end of the day, they can have the 3 utilities between septic, water, and power hooked up. They even drop a plungy pool in when they do it. They're partners with Plungy is how I got connected with them. And so they're talking to people in LA who are maybe multiple years out with traditional builders about doing projects in the Palisades area and all these terrible wildfire zones because they can just knock it out. Yeah. And they actually look cheap in those areas. Now, they may be expensive for Bastrop or for Houston, but for an area like that, and they were also saying, like, up in the mountains where it's hard to find construction workers at a mountain resort, like a Telluride or a Aspen or these places, they look like they're the cheap one.
Yeah, and Houston's great for that. I mean, I worked as an engineer in Houston for a decade. Houston's we build huge structures, like skyscraper-size structures, and put them in the water. And we do all of that with, tens of thousands of manufacturing facilities spread across the United States, and then bring it all together and build. So like a house.
An oil rig is all built on land.
Yeah. An oil rig is way more complex than a house. Like, totally. It's not that difficult.
Yeah, makes total sense.
Yeah.
Jordan, we should probably wrap it up. Let's try to keep this thing under 30 minutes for our commuters out there. But I'd really like to podcast with you again. You got time to stay for part 2?
Yeah.
Let's do a part 2 with Jordan because I really want to spend time with you, Jordan. I think one thing that I think of you as an expert on is building high performance on a budget. You mentioned that like when you left me, you always were trained by me to go to the top.
Yeah.
What's better than the top? I think Tim Hill trained you on that too. Like, can we use 3M epoxy on this? When some Sashco adhesive would work just fine or whatever.
You go to the nautical boat store on the lake and you get that 3M epoxy.
Exactly.
Because that's
we're like putting stainless steel screws into bathrooms because we're worried about humidity. I want to talk to you about high performance, and you actually have a fabulous video series on that we hopefully might have on the Build Show at some point, but you guys can go out and watch on the YouTubes as well today. So with that being said, guys, go check out Jordan Smith Builds on Instagram. What's your website, by the way? I don't even know.
SmithHouseCo.com.
Smith House Co. It's the normal Smith, no E or weirdness in there.
House. It's not house.
House, the American normal.
I'm not German. Well, I might be German. But
and is it co.com?
Co.com.
Okay, smithhouseco.com. Yep. Jordan, I'm super pumped to have you back, dude.
Yeah.
We're going to make some great videos. We have some stuff in store already that we've been talking about. You're so easy to talk to. I feel like we're the old school Starsky and Hutch. What were the Chips guys' names? I can't remember them. That's before your childhood.
I am not 53, so I have no idea.
What were the motorcycle cops in California called? Chips. I watched that show a ton when I was a kid. It was Eric Estrada, and who was his partner?
I don't.
Anyways,
I don't know.
The point is, guys, I'm psyched to have Jordan back.
I'm happy to be here.
He's a super smart dude. He's building some great houses. He has great experience, and he really has the heart of a teacher. So go check out thebuildshow.com. Hopefully by the time we publish this, you'll be able to hit that hamburger button at the top, hit Build Experts. You'll scroll down that list, and you'll see Jordan. You can watch his bio video. You'll be able to see a bunch of his videos that we'll be launching with. And more content to come. That being said, guys, hit that subscribe button below. We've got new content on the podcast every single Friday on all your main apps. You can also watch this podcast if you want to see the green thing in my teeth.
It was black, but
black thing on my teeth on thebuildshow.com. Follow us on Facebook or Instagram. Otherwise, we'll see you next time on the Build Show podcast.